Welcome to the Courage to Be podcast with Tania Vasallo. Before we get into this episode, I want to share with you that I'm on a mission to close the gender gap in the podcasting world so that more and more women's voices are heard. If you feel that this is something you value too, then please rate, review, and share the podcast. And in exchange, and as my way to say thank you to you, I want to give you free access to my signature course called Manifesting Abundance, which typically sells for $997. All you have to do to gain access is leave me a review on Apple Podcasts, take a snapshot of it, and send it to help.thecouragetobe@gmail.com, and we'll get you set up with access to the course. Welcome back to the Courage to Be, where we now have Mary Sullivan again with us, and I'm so excited for our mentoring teaching class here, Mary. So we are going to talk, Mary has specialized in helping women transition, evolving within their career. She teaches all kinds of things from negotiating to, we were talking on the podcast in the previous episode of just how to ask for things that you want within your job. But she's going to share with us, what are you going to share with us, Mary? I'll put it that way. I'll ask you.
Well, thank you so much, Tania. What I'm going to share is something that within 15, 20 minutes, you guys will leave with a skill that you can add to your toolkit, and it can really help you advance in your business, in your career, and even maybe in your relationship. And what I'm going to teach you is a way to take all that complex thoughts that you have going on, to sift through all the noise and put it into a one-pager that you can really use to kind of center yourself and follow and serve as a plan in order to go forward and execute on. So it's called a lean canvas. You may have heard about it in either corporate or entrepreneur. It's called lean canvas.
Perfect. We'll take it on and share with us. I'm excited to learn with you.
So this methodology, lean canvas, a lot of project managers use it. It's used a lot of in agile, in formats, in order, again, as I said, to take a complex theory or complex responsibilities and help simplify it. I wanted to use that in our workplace to help women as we're helping them through their careers, helping them through their entrepreneurship, and really find a way to, again, sift through all that noise and simplify it. So it starts with steps. There's 9 different steps, and I won't go through all 9, but I am going to highlight 3 of the most important steps. And that centers around really going through a reflection on where's all the input when you're trying to make a decision. So let's take an entrepreneur example, and they're deciding, how am I going to narrow down who is my target market audience, right? Usually a thing that a lot of entrepreneurs kind of struggle with. Who's my target market audience, right? Who are my best clients? So let's use this methodology as a way to help you, uncover and find that answer. So when using this, you go through a lot of reflection on where is the input? Who are my early adopters? Who are the individuals that are already doing business with me? Where are the ancillary partners, right? Who are partners that are referring business to me? So you really reflect a lot on the input. Where am I getting my current information from? As you're starting to do that, Tania, you're going to find that there is a pattern, that a lot of your clients will share a similar interest, share a similar problem, have a certain outcome that they want to have. These patterns will start emerging from a lot of that information. And this lean canvas, just think of it like we're describing, a one-pager split into 9 parts, will help you do that. So you start inputting all the information. Let's say you're saying, well, a lot of my clients are experiencing that they don't know how to ask for promotion. They haven't really had the experience in getting a lot of yeses at work. Or there's no well-defined item in their corporation that says to them, these are some of the benefits. So there's a lot of unknown. They're getting information. You put this in the one-pager as you're following it, and you read it like a book from left to right. And you start putting down this information, you will see that patterns start to emerge. The next step you take is on the research. You're also saying, okay, as I'm thinking through who's my target market audience, what do others have? What are other businesses that I admire or that I'm trying to emulate? What are they doing? And you start doing that research outside of your own network, right? Outside of your own community. Now you're expanding that research and getting information onto what's going on for others, right? Who's similar. If you're a cake decorating business, well, what are other cake decorating businesses, not only in my geography, but maybe nationwide? What are they doing? What do individuals like about them? What is their brand? How do they market? When you're doing a lot of research, and again, you're inputting it into this one pager. The reason why, Tania, it's so important to not only reflect and then do the research, but write it down. You talked about journaling earlier. Journaling is so important. Writing it down is so important because not only does it serve as a place to center your thoughts, but it's also saying, this is so important, I'm taking the time to write it down. And then you can start crossing off what you find isn't as important, which is why it's so important to write it down. Going through this research, and you're really finding, again, you're expanding your knowledge. So not only are you doing research again on yourself, but now you're starting to do research on others, you're expanding your knowledge. You're starting to find there might be information out there I didn't see before that now I can add and really serve as, making this better than what it started. As you're moving through the lean canvas, you're getting input, and we talk about things like activities. What type of activities are you doing or should you be doing that will help drive your business forward? So again, if we're using the analogy of I'm trying to find out who my target market audience is, maybe one of the activities is having a focus group, right? Of who you think might be your target market audience. Have a focus group, ask them specific questions, gather information from them, and then you can see if this was the target market audience you had in mind, or if maybe that has shifted a little bit. You could do focus groups. You could ask for testimonials. Again, you could peruse other websites. You could go out to other companies and see what's going on their website and what are some of their clients saying about them. This is a chance for you to write down the activities and the information you need in order to move your business forward. This is also a space to think about the channels. When you're looking at your target market audience, and I'm helping individuals figure out what that may be for them, okay, what channels are you wanting to do business through? Is it going to be the internet alone? Is it going to be in person? Is it going to be, coaching through Zoom? What are the channels and how's that information going to be shared? Because that's also important. As you're thinking of all the different ways you can do, we just only have 24 hours in a day. You just can't do everything. So having this lean methodology canvas helps you narrow that down. You write your exhaustive list, and then you go through and say, what do I have time to do? The last step in this, Tania, is the rebuilding part. And that's thinking through what are your next steps? What are your deliverables? What are the action items that you're going to take? And maybe what are the expenses that are associated with them? A lot of times when we think as entrepreneurs of, well, that doesn't cost me anything, I can do this. If it's time, it costs you a lot. You have to really value your time. So with this lean methodology, you go through it and you say, well, these are the activities that you talked about earlier. And now you're saying, well, these are the action items I'm going to take. Not only are you putting down the cost, but the cost of your time. How much time is this going to take you to do? Because again, 24 hours in a day, you just can't do everything. Writing the list, pulling it all together really helps us as entrepreneurs think through, where should I spend my time? Where should I spend my treasure? Where should I spend my talent, right? Because this is what we have to think about. We just can't do everything every single day. So having this has really helped, I think, individuals with their time management, with prioritizing what they want to do, and with taking all that noise and all the thousands of ideas you have as an entrepreneur and starting to write it down and narrow it down on that one page. Okay, here's everything. Now, here's what I'm going to focus on, either this day, this week, this month, or this year. And then you can have that plan will write itself. When you think of the lean methodology, and I said you go from left to right, that's exactly what you're going to start doing. You're going to say, okay, I've chosen this activity. I've chosen this impact. This is, well, I think I'm going to help narrow down my target market audience. This is my deliverable, what I'm going to do. Now here's the cost. Now here's the time. Now here's the resources I need in order to accomplish it. I have found that this methodology helps with anything you're wanting to do, whether it's finding who your target market audience is, whether it's, should I expand my business? Should I franchise it? Any type of decision making. This really helps you take all the information, think through You can never think through every scenario, but you can think through a lot of them, the most impactful ones. Helps you prioritize and then make a decision.
This is brilliant. Thank you for that, Mary. I have a couple questions with
Yeah.
it, and they revolve around time. So the first question was, how much time should you spend on each one of these steps? Because you're saying
Yeah.
like doing research and all this thing, is it an hour or is it 20 minutes a day for a week? Or like how much time do we spend on each one of these steps?
So that's a great question, Tanya. In some of our workshops, we do it in a 4-hour workshop, right? We can accomplish a lot of this in 4 hours. And what I say by that is, I would say minimum of 4 hours as you're going through it, but don't get, as we say, right, paralysis by analysis. You don't have to think of every single what if situation. If you cover 75% of what ifs can happen, that's good enough. So that can also serve as your time clock when you're starting to do your ideation and say, hey, here's a bunch of ideas. Okay, stop at maybe 5 to 7 of them. Think of the ones that are the most impactful for you, and those are the ones you should focus on. I always have a few extra because you want that creativity and you don't want to stifle your creativity. But if you can accomplish this in 4 hours, and then you think there's 9 steps, you can kind of do the math. Some steps are more impactful than others. Some are more a transition step of that lean canvas. But I would say 4 hours, you could do all of this.
Perfect. Thank you for the clarification. And then my second question was also about time, which is you just said that if you can't do it all, in one day, because we only have 24 hours in a day, whatever your activities that you like doing and what you want to focus on, what do we do? Like, do you delegate? Do you automate? Like, what are your tricks on seeing like, no, but I really want to focus on this next thing. I did my research. I did the ideation part of it. I'm looking, like I've done all the different activities. I have clarity, but it's going to require, I don't know, 10 hours a day. And I only have 6, because I'm a working mom or something. What do we do in order for this to get accomplished?
Yeah, the first thing I say we do, Tanya, is we prioritize. A lot of times we say, well, these are the tasks we need to accomplish. But I would challenge ourselves to say, are they all really necessary today? Are they all really necessary this week? What will happen if I don't do that? And that's always a great question to ask ourselves for anything that we have as a priority. What will happen if I don't do this? Or what will happen if I don't do all of it? Is there a piece of it that's even more, when you break it down, more impactful than the whole thing? That's the first thing I ask myself, is really reflect through how important is that? Maybe I have given it more importance than it really deserves to be. You brought up a great point, and I am definitely a huge delegator. I also think, what is it when you're thinking of your time? What is that money payment, right? What's that return on investment of your time that's most important to you? And if you look at what you're doing through the day and you look at these tasks, if you find that you're doing a lot of them that aren't heavy on the revenue side, why are you doing the ones that aren't heavy on the revenue side? Maybe that is something you should be spending the time on, and those that are less impactful to the revenue can be delegated, can have someone that's time is not as critical to the outcome. I'm not saying important, because it's all important, but it's not as critical to the outcome as yours is. I definitely go through that.
Can you give us some examples of those on a
Yeah.
personal and business level? Because I find, like I've recommended to clients and other things sometimes, like, no, you need to hire someone to clean your house. Like, why are you doing laundry when you could be using that time? So, and that's just one example that comes to me, but are there any
Yep.
other examples?
I would almost delegate everything in my home to someone else, but that's a personal choice. I've often said I'll get a second job to just not have to clean my house, in order to have that. But I would say, when you think also as an entrepreneur, the things that I have found beneficial to delegate, and this is very personal. So I really want individuals to, again, you have to spend that time reflecting to know what is impactful to you, and also how you connect with your clients. If the way you connect with your clients is through writing, then I wouldn't delegate my writing, right? If the way that I connect with my clients is through my podcasting, then I am not delegating my podcasting to someone. So you think through all the different activities, and again, prioritize which are the ones that have the biggest impact, not only on revenue, but on connectivity to your clients. What is part of that brand? And I know we all think everything is part of our brand, but there is a hierarchy in that. And that's where I reflect through. So one of the examples is using our, let's say, our social media posts. So one of the things that I would focus on in order to think about the prioritization and what is it that you could possibly delegate is doing your hierarchy of what has the most impact, not only on revenue, but also on building your brand, the connection between you and your client base. As you prioritize them, think about the things, again, that are on that bottom tier, maybe the bottom half, and start looking, are there other ways for those things to be accomplished? For example, I was introduced to Fiverr, Fiverr, as a place where they could help me with some of the production of my marketing, creating some of the artwork for me, something that was taking me forever to do. Then I said, oh, that was taking me 3 hours to do. I could pay them $10 and they could do it in 10 minutes. Well, then I'm going to have them do that. So I started delegating some of the creation of some of the graphic artwork. You can think through whatever it is for you in your business that is heavy on the time and less on the impact, right? And spend your time doing what is more impactful for you and to connect with your clients. And you start testing it out. You don't have to stick with whatever happens first. Maybe the first time you did it, it didn't work well. Try it again. Try it a different way and then see what works. That is what I have found, Tania, that really helped me in delegating with my time. You have to prioritize your time and spend it. And then definitely I would also use partnerships. I'm huge on, helping other women and also asking for help. If they are doing something that could really benefit me and help me with my client base, then I'm going to ask them for support and offer, of course, what can I do in return? So I've often used that a lot.
Those are wonderful strategies. Thank you for sharing these, Mary. Hi there, I have something really cool for you. I want to give you free access to my signature course called Manifesting Abundance, which typically sells for $997. You can check out all the details in the show notes. All you have to do to gain access is leave me a review on Apple Podcast, take a snapshot of it, and send it to help.thecouragetobe@gmail.com, and we'll get you set up with access to the course. You can also find other free goodies in the show notes. Go check them out. Are there any other things that I might have forgotten to ask or that you want to share? You mentioned that these were 9-step, different steps, and we just went through 3. Do you want to share the other ones with us, even though we won't go as in depth with them?
Oh, certainly. So when you think about the lean canvas methodology, as I said, it was created by, someone else as a great author. Their name is escaping me, but we could put it in the show notes. But it's used throughout a lot of corporate America, and a lot of entrepreneurs, because of the simplification of it, have adapted that for their businesses. And that's definitely what we're using. So let me go through the 9 steps and say them. So in case you would like to go through any detail, the first one is, what is the problem you're solving? Right? Again, so let's use that analogy of I'm trying to think who's my target market audience. So the problem you're solving is, how do I narrow it down? Right? I have a product that I think everybody can benefit from, but we all know we don't have enough money to market to everybody, which is why we create this target market audience. The second one is solutions. What ideas have you already thought of? What solutions do you have in mind? And this is the chance to create ideas, not censor yourself. Right? So think of it as journaling, write it all down. Don't start editing yourself. Next is, what is your unique value proposition? This is where we talk a lot about, especially in the entrepreneur space. What is your unique value proposition? What is it unique about you or your offering that you have that you think can really make a difference? That leads into the unfair advantage. And that's that piece of going, what unfair advantage do I have? It could be your knowledge. It could be the way you relate to individuals. It could be your product is transformational. It could be how you bring together community. Whatever that unfair advantage is, that's what you're going to brainstorm on. Then you talk about customer segments. What are the segments in there? We all know when we think about who our clientele is, there's one large clientele, and then there may be subsets in there, different segments within that. So you want to think through those. The key metrics. You want to talk about, how am I going to understand if this is successful? A lot of times as entrepreneurs, Tania, we go out, we start doing something, but we aren't tracking. We don't have metrics in place to understand, where are those leads coming from? Where is my business coming from? How long is it taking it to go from someone has interest to someone becomes a buying, client? Metrics. We need to put some metrics around all of that. The next one I mentioned earlier was the channel. How am I doing this business? Is it through audio? Is it through video? Is it through in person? Is it, through workshops? Is it one-on-one? All the different ways you can talk about the channels. The cost structure. We talked about that. And again, we can't say enough. Cost structure is not just, well, I spent $500 to take this course or to add this to my portfolio. It's also your time. How many hours are you spending doing something? You really have to document your time. And then the last one is outcomes, right? What are the outcomes that I want? What are the expectations that we have from putting together whatever this idea is, activity, or plan? So those are the 9 that we cover. And again, some may be more important to others, depending on what their business is, but all 9 have to be completed. It is a canvas, and you can't have a blank piece on there.
That was wonderful, Mary. Thank you so much for your knowledge, your wisdom, and sharing your methodology with us. So where can people find you or your gift? And we'll put this in the show notes too.
Yes, at sweetbutfearless.com. Just go to sweetbutfearless.com, our website. And not only can you, review a lot of this information, but you can just send a contact us and I'll send you whatever you want. If you want a copy of the Lean Canvas, we adapt the Lean Canvas to many things. We adapt it to a career plan. We adapt it to steps on how to give effective feedback. We adapt it to how to negotiate. So you can adapt that Lean Canvas to whatever that problem is you're wanting to solve or the opportunity that you want to explore.
This has been great. Thanks so much again for your wisdom, for your time, and for sharing your tips and tricks, that you use in the trade. So thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you, Tania. So excited to be on the Courage to Be. Just love it. Thank you.
Hi there. I have something really cool for you. I want to give you free access to my signature course called Manifesting Abundance, which typically sells for $997. You can check out all the details in the show notes, and all you have to do to gain access is leave me a review on Apple Podcasts, take a snapshot of it, and send it to help.thecouragetobe@gmail.com, and we'll get you set up with access to the course.